Good morning. Welcome to your Monday Mojo. I hope you're enjoying your cup of Joe like I am. This is Monique, and thank you for joining me. As you know, we are covering a couple of the terms within this book. What got you here won't get you there. One of my favorite leadership books, and I'm often asked, what are your favorite leadership books? So I thought that I would take a break from strengths and talk about one of them. The reason why I like this so much is because it's really simple and it gets to the core of those habits that we have that are often default habits, right? We do them unconsciously, that could really be destructive for us as leaders and or managers who really want to succeed as leaders in the workplace. And so we've covered a couple of them already. And today I'm going to bunch two of them together because they're very similar, yet they have differences that we should be aware of. So the two that I want to talk to you about today are making destructive comments and passing judgment. Okay, so making destructive comments is very similar to what we talked about last week on Monday, which was adding too much value. Okay, when someone wants to share something with us and they just want us to really sit back and listen and validate, and yet we always have to add our 2 cents and take the idea and make it into something else, which then becomes a loss for that person and for their idea. So today, in making destructive comments, it's very similar to adding too much value, but really it's different in the sense that we are essentially causing pain by what we say. Not only are we adding on to what someone is presenting to us, but we're perhaps adding on something that is going to offend them, or just make them want to disconnect from us, which is not great if we are leaders. In fact, what we want is for our people to resonate with what we have to say, what we have to offer, the value that we have to give, and connect to us, okay? Not step away from us and disconnect. So how do we add pain? We can add pain in conversations by saying things like, well, that wasn't very bright of you. Or something like, remember the time when you embarrassed yourself, right? So it's when we're being sly, or we think we're being funny, but there's really nothing funny about it. In fact, we're saying something to that person that's sharing with them that we don't really think that they are of value, or that in fact, they have a long way to go before they get to where we are, right? So there's a lot of ego involved in this little habit that we definitely need to break if we have it as leaders, right? So part of sharing this information with you and is for all of us to really become cognizant and pay attention to how we talk to people, what we say to people, and understanding what they're getting from what we're saying. Okay, so and remember that as leaders, we are really held to a higher standard, and we should be, right? We're given more free reign. We're being paid better. We're given better benefits, essentially. And for that, we really need to give back quite a bit to our teams and to our individuals. Make sure that we are being role models for them and developing them in a way that they could be proud, that we could be proud of them and as part of our teams. So the second thing that I wanted to talk today about was passing judgment, okay? And we all do this. It's a human tendency, right? Passing judgment is when we either see things as good or bad, black or white. There's really no gray area. And so this is when we always have to have an opinion. And we're just rating things that people say, right? So every time somebody says something, we're either telling them that it's good or bad. And with this habit, the really easy thing to do, the way to curb it, to just kind of nip it in the bud, is to learn how not to say anything. Okay, so Marshall Goldsmith, the author of the book, calls this being mission neutral. And I love that. right? How can we be neutral? And with many of these many of these items that I've shared so far, we've covered 4 of them. This is really an answer to all of them. Is how can we just be neutral and learn how to sit back and just absorb information, validate, confirm something for someone, or just say thank you. Thank you for sharing that, right? So one way to be mission neutral is to respond to someone who perhaps comes to you with an idea or something they want to change or something that they want to offer, is to say, you know what, thank you for sharing that. I never thought of it that way, right? Or another thing you could say is, you know what? You've given me something to think about. Thanks so much. Let me consider that and I'll get back to you. And so in doing so, it doesn't mean that when you get back to them, you're actually not going to share valuable information, your own insight, your own experience as a manager or a leader. And we should be able to do that as managers and leaders, because after all, one of the best traits of managers and leaders is being able to develop others and to be a mentor. And we can only do that by sharing our own experiences and giving some advice, and that's okay. But when you start out by saying thank you and by letting someone know that you've really listened to them and appreciated what they are sharing with you, you have really set the foundation for them to really then take your constructive advice and implement it or think about it themselves, right? Which they totally have the authority to do as individuals. So I hope that this was helpful for you. And next week we'll dive into a couple more of these 20 workplace habits that we need to break as leaders or just individuals that want to be better leaders in the future. Okay, so enjoy your cup of Joe this morning. Have a fantastic week. Oh, and by the way, happy Halloween. And I will catch you next Monday. Bye-bye.